Power Scaling Fictional Abilities Part 1, Toon Force. First thing to note about Toon Force, its only limiting factor is humor, so if someone does or does not find that something funny, then that thing will happen or not happen depending on whoever is being subjected to it. So the strength of Toon Force depends on, number one, the character, but also the simple fact of the audience and the writer. Because the thing is, you can't really scale Toon Force because it's based in humor, which is subjective. Like, yes, does it technically have no limit? Correct. But that's only true because if someone finds that thing funny, they could do it. Let's say I find it funny that Goku loses to Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny can win that fight because it's funny now. That's how Toon Force both upscales and downscales a character, because again, it's not really a scaling factor. The scaling of Toon Force is, number one, based on humor, and number two, based on the character, so they have more or less more wackiness with the humor. So like Bugs Bunny slapping the writer out of the way to write his own story, yes, was funny for when it happened. But I can guarantee you it's going to be less funny when he does that again. So yes, Toon Force characters, depending on, number one, the level of Toon Force they have, but also just simply how canonically funny that would be, or just funny in general. If something isn't funny, then it isn't going to happen. Specifically with Toon Force. Like, if I found it funny for Naruto to throw his strongest Rasengan Shuriken at Bugs Bunny or any other Toon, and they survived it, and I found that funny, they would theoretically be able to do it. So the only limiting factor of Toon Force is the simple factor of, is it funny to the audience, and is it funny to the creator? Because the ultimate deciding factor is, no, yes and no, Toon Force is strong. It is both strong and weak, because it doesn't have to make sense. It's a toon. That's why if you're power scaling and a character has Toon Force, leave the Toon Force out of it for like 90% of that, because at the end of the day, Toon Force is subjective. And that means in that fight, it'd be very annoying. So in a power scaling debate, like, don't use it until the end. Go off of base abilities before going into anything else. Go into what they have in general, then into Toon Force and whether or not it'd be funny for something to happen. But hey, that's just me. Or to just reinstate this very clearly, Toon Force is only as strong as that thing is funny. So if something is not funny, they're not gonna do it. At least with Toon Force. But if something is funny, they could do it. Because Toon Force.